Hey, what's up folks? How's it going? This is Watch. So a couple of weeks ago, Alienware released their Steam Machine, and this is one of the first standalone Steam Machine gaming consoles that you can get earlier in this year. And what we're going to do is take a look at the capabilities and feature sets of this Steam Machine compared to one of the most popular next generation consoles you can get, the PlayStation 4. So if you're interested in seeing what the differences are between these two in terms of the graphical capabilities, in terms of the gameplay and the overall gaming experience, stay tuned and let's find out which is the ultimate gaming console. Now, physically speaking, the Alienware Steam Machine is pretty much identical to the Alienware Alpha that we reviewed last year in terms of its overall design and even the internal architecture. And compared to the PS4, it is a lot more compact, measuring only about 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Now, as you can see, there's actually two RGB LED lights on the Steam Machine, and you can actually custom configure the color configuration on both of them, so you can select a combination of different colors in the software itself. So there's a level of customization that you don't get from the PlayStation 4 over here. Furthermore, since the Steam Machine is pretty much a miniature computer, you do have a lot more connectivity options. We have two USBs at the front, two USB 3.0s at the back, as well as optical audio out, HDMI 1.4a in and out. So if you actually want to plug in an HDMI source into the Steam Machine, you can do that, which is great if you're limited on HDMI connectivity on your TV. Furthermore, just like the PlayStation 4, you do have a gigabit Ethernet option if you want to use a wired connection. In terms of the wireless capabilities, we do have a Bluetooth options on both consoles, and in terms of Wi-Fi, we have 802.11n on the PS4 versus the Steam Machine comes equipped with AC Wi-Fi, which is definitely going to give you faster connections to your router. Now, when you get the Steam Machine, you obviously get the new Steam controller, which is pretty much a complete redesign of what you think of a conventional controller, and one of its main function is to replace the keyboard and mouse functionality that you get on a traditional computer, and that becomes especially handy when you're playing real-time strategy games on the big screen where you don't have typical access to a keyboard and mouse. And generally speaking, with its haptic feedback system and its large overall touchpads, using the Steam controller to play games made for the mouse and keyboard is a relatively painless process, especially when you're playing more methodical games where critical timing of your actions is not that important. And generally speaking, it does take a little bit of time to get used to the touchpads, but no matter how good you get with the Steam controller, it's never going to really fully replace the functionality and performance of a real mouse and keyboard configuration. And even though most regards the Steam controller is a passable gamepad, it really starts to struggle when you start playing first-person shooter games or action-oriented games where timing becomes really important. And ergonomically, we're so used to playing with an Xbox controller or a PlayStation 4 controller because we've used them over so many years and so many generations. And now we've come to the point where a dual thumbstick configuration on a gamepad is a very good experience when playing first-person shooters or any sort of action-oriented game on a console, because there's been so much development on the hardware and software side to really perfect that on the console. And what Valve is trying to do is almost reinvent the wheel with this controller, and they're certainly not going to get it at this first attempt. And although it's a neat functional device at this point, most people after using the Steam controller are probably going to revert back to using the Microsoft Xbox controller or to use the PlayStation 4 controller. Now, without any good content, any gaming console is as good as a doorstop, and what Alienware and Valve are trying to do with the Steam Machine is bring all your PC games from your Steam library to the living room or anywhere where you want a couch gaming experience. And essentially, you have two main methods of gaming on the Steam Machine. The first and primary method is to play Steam OS games or games that are compatible with the Linux operating system, because Steam OS is just a distribution of that. And here you have over 1,400 games to choose from, which sounds like a pretty healthy number. And there's a lot of great independent titles in the library. But if you like to play contemporary AAA modern titles like the new Fallout 4 or even the new Call of Duty, well, you're pretty much going to have to use the second option, which is the in-home game streaming technology built into every Steam client. And this feature is certainly not unique to the Steam Machine. You can pretty much buy a $50 Steam Link that will do the exact same thing for you. But regardless of that, with the streaming capabilities, you can pretty much play any of your PC games onto onto the Steam Machine itself, even though it doesn't have to run it locally, which admittedly kind of defeats the purpose of having a standalone console in the first place. Now, the PlayStation 4 is fantastic in terms of its gaming content. You guys all know that. It has tons of exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, like the new Uncharted 4 that's going to come out later on in 2016. And plus, I think the PlayStation Plus definitely offers a lot of value and perks that really keeps users pretty enthusiastic and pretty engaged into the whole PlayStation ecosystem. Now, you do have a couple of configurability options when you buy your Steam Machine from Alienware. Basically, you can select from a couple of different CPUs as well as a couple of different RAM options. Now, we're testing out the base model configuration, which retails for about $449, and you can typically get the PlayStation 4 for anywhere between $350 to $400, depending on certain deals and bundles, but it's certainly more competitively priced than the Steam Machine. In terms of the actual internal specs, the base model comes with a Intel Core i3 4170T. This is a dual-core chip with hyper-threading enabled, and it can turbo up to 3.2 gigahertz. Now, the PS4 comes with a Jaguar 8-core processor comprised of two quad-core chips clocked around 1.6 gigahertz. Now, in terms of memory, basically on the PlayStation 4, it shares the memory from the CPU to the GPU, and it has 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 versus we have 4 gigabytes of DDR3 memory for the processor, and we have 2 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory for the GPU. Now, the actual graphics card on the Alienware Steam Machine is pretty much using the Maxwell architecture, so therefore you have stuff like 640 CUDA cores. The core clock is clocked around 1029 megahertz. It has a 128-bit memory bus, and in terms of the memory clock, it's clocked around 5000 megahertz. Now, the PS4 has a custom designed AMD graphics card that's very similar in terms of specifications to the 7870, and that basically has 18 compute units and a total of 1152 cores, and has the ability to compute up to 1.84 teraflops. Now, with all that done, let's finally get into our gaming performance comparison between these two gaming platforms. We're going to be taking a look at the exact same titles played on the Steam Machine, whether it be locally or streamed, versus the exact same game at the exact same sequence on the PlayStation 4, so that way you guys have a good idea of what the gaming performance and experience is going to be like on both platforms. So without further ado, let's get right into it. But other than that, guys, that's really it. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Would you be interested in getting the Steam Machine from Alienware? Would you consider from some of the other Steam Machines that are out there? Would you consider on building your own Steam Machine as well? Love to hear all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And if any of you want to know more about the Alienware Steam Machine, definitely check out our full review, which should be up on the channel pretty soon as well. But other than that, thanks again for watching. We'll see you later. Take care.